welcome. So today is going to be another collective reading, and there's always going to be this balance between the struggles that we face in life, understanding them on a deeper level so that we can actually turn them into our struggles into superpowers. And that's what the tarot is all about. That's what any of these stories that I share with you is trying to point you towards. Is not necessarily always trying to turn something into a superpower, but is definitely to try and point toward the thing that is indescribable. So that's why we use metaphors, myths, legends, stories, is because it's actually a way of the mind being able to grasp that which is ungraspable, intangible, infinite, and that doesn't mean that we attach too deeply to the story, because when we do that, we take things too personal, too deeply, and that can still be okay and can still work and is just fine if that's where you're at in your journey, not taking everything like personally, and that can work too, because you actually do move a bit quicker in your advancement, although it can cause some neurosis as well. So that's just a little thing to think about, is taking the balanced road whenever working with any kind of story, like including the Netflix stories, including the news stories, including the game stories. Like, the stories everywhere. It's literally impossible to get away from them. But you can get away from them and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Just eating, being in nature, being with animals, being with friends. And this card wants to pop out, so let's take a look, shall we? We got the World card. This is what it means to be in and of the world, and you're in and of spirit. The dancer is the ultimate goal we could ever, and I mean the dancer in the loose term of being able to let go of all of what the mind knows, let go of any of the bodily cares, let go of integrate all of what makes us who we are, and allow life to become us in the dance of life. That's what the World Dancer is all about, the final card of the Major Arcana, number 21, which actually also links to the whole deck, specifically the High Priestess and the Magician, which is at the very beginning of our first soul's journey. First comes the Fool or the Child, and then we have the Divine Feminine, High Priestess. We have the Divine Masculine, the Magician first, and then we have the Divine Feminine, the High Priestess, and those is number 1 and 2. Magician is 1. Fool card is the Child card, which is 0, the Cosmic Egg, and as you can see here, you also have the Cosmic Egg being represented in the wreath. And so to attain this World card, we have to go through all 3 lines of the Major Arcana. And the first line is all about getting to know yourself on the deepest level on the inside. That's why we come to the High Priestess, who goes in. That's why we come to the Magician, who goes out, takes this imagination, takes this channeling, this information, and uses the elements to turn it into something physical, because unless we can ground in this information that's been given to us by the books, the stories, the channeling of the divine information, we can become neurotic. We can not really know how to function very well in society, right? And also we have the Infinity 8 card here, which is all about that constant game of starting from the child, working your way up to the World card, which is all beings being in peace, joy, harmony, fulfillment. And that is a really good intention for today's session, is to allow this card to permeate all of our, inform all of our actions, our thoughts, our emotions towards what it is that we truly want. What is it you want? Because you'll find in this card somewhere, somehow, it represents all the archetypes in this one space, coming together in a simple dance, as a hermaphrodite, by the way, because we go beyond gender at this point. Not to say, though, that we can go beyond gender in the physical, because there is some kind of foundations there that are important, you know. There's always going to be masculine and feminine energies inside of you, and it's just about uniting those two. That's what the hermaphrodite is trying to point towards, is that uniting of that opposite masculine and feminine. And I feel as though this is probably one of my favorite cards, just because it represents that which all of us truly are seeking to attain, and we don't necessarily need to seek it. It's already going to be part of what we go through in our lives at some point or another. We may oscillate in and out of this world card. We may oscillate in and out of the journey that took us here, the things that we learn along the way. We may forget about what journey that was, and some of the archetypes or the wisdom may fall away for a time, so that we can experience something different. So the point is that he always comes back to the dance, to the song, to the simplicity of the material world, paired with that deeper knowledge and understanding of what the inner, the outer, and the whole ecosystem, the whole universe, all of it tied together, is really pointing to, which is that thing that is indescribable. You know, the saying, only the fool looks at the finger that's pointing to the moon, because the moon is what's truly the mystery that can never be fully grasped. And that's what I said in my last video, talking about stories. I mentioned that the thing about these stories that I share with you, with tarot specifically, and any other kind of story that I've shared with you on this channel, that we share stories throughout our day. And the thing is that what kind of story do we really want to portray and paint for ourselves? Yes, there's things that we need to know about ourselves that are maybe a bit of a struggle or a weakness or something that we can overcome, you know, because that struggle again suggests that we can turn it into something useful. It's not just there to say you've got problems. It's there to say, okay, this is something that you're doing that you're maybe needing to look at, because it's going to cause you to continue to go down a path of more of the same thing, whereas you want something different. You want more of the fullness of your cup. And so she represents all elements. He represents spirit. And again, the story points toward the thing that can't be fully described in words. It can only be experienced. And so that's why we dance. You know, that's why we express life through this being, so that it's not us. We're not claiming ourselves as separate anymore. We are part of the integrated whole. We are we are life itself living through us. There's no separation between unconscious, conscious, and superconscious mind. It's all one and the same. Yeah, they may seem like different parts of you, but they're always interacting at the same time. And it's the same with everything. It's all interacting at the same time. It's all there with us. We just put some veils and some separations there until we can fully understand what this card entails. And it's huge, and I could spend probably videos and videos and videos trying to describe to you, trying to understand myself what really is entailed in this card. And again, I'll just reiterate that this is a really good place for you now to set an intention for this session, that whatever comes up here is seen for what it is, darkness or light, seen for what it is inside of you, because it's going to have a very personal message for you. What I share is only going to touch on the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. You go below the iceberg and you find what it is that it means to you. But you do so in a way that's framing it, that is going to help you. Again, we're not playing with archetypes in order to feel bad about anything. We're playing with archetypes so that we can feel as though we have some grasp, some understanding of our mind, of our body, of our emotions, of our energies, so that we can come to life with greater confidence, with a deeper understanding of what we truly are, which is life itself. So it doesn't get much more simple than that, but it takes a whole lifetime to figure this out fully. So that's just part of the game of life, really, truly. And so just a few more things on this card. We have the green healing colour here, which is all talking about nature and talking about the heart healing capabilities of nature. We have the blue communication here, communication with yourself and the world around you that's true and as honest as it can be, authentic as it can be. We have the infinity wreath is actually red, which points toward our physical bodies and making sure that, you know, we're very much here in the material world, present, fully embodied. And we're dancing with spirit, which is represented with this divine as divine knowledge, this purple sachet around this naked being, you know, representing being authentic again to the world. And of course we have some animals around, suggesting our connection to it all, you know, the two wands coming into balance with the masculine and feminine. And one last thing is that the world card, as well as the fool card, which I like to call the child card, are the only two cards that dance in the whole deck. The rest are stationary. And so it's representing that all things come back to movement. Even when you're still, sitting still, you can move further than those people that are running around doing all kinds of stuff. Even in the stillness, you can find movement, and that movement can take you further than those that are trying to run physically. You're always moving, even when you're still. Everything in the world moves. Everything in the universe moves. The celestials, the plants, the tree. You know, all of it moves. If you sit there and watch a tree all day, you'll think, wow, it just stays still the whole time. It doesn't really do much. It's kind of boring. But when you look at those time lapses, when you really pay attention to the leaves blowing in the wind or just the little trickles of breeze here and there, they're in dance. They're in a dance with life. And it's all about that movement. So, big card, big energy. Great way to start off with that intention that we are seeking that which is the most true, the most fulfilling, both materially and spiritually. Which, by the way, may take some, let's see, shall we? Okay, King of Cups. It may take some taming of the emotions, all right? Because there's going to be some things that do happen in our everyday life that may draw us in to wanting to have our emotions lead the way, guide the way. But the thing about the King of Cups is that he uses the energy of water, of imagination from the unconscious mind and kind of lets his conscious mind steer the ship forward, you know, because it's representing that the unconscious mind is all of the water around him, but he's on a steady earth material here. So he's very much being informed by structure, by making sure that he does what's best for the community and what's best for himself, and, you know, only just occasionally touching on that imagination, that emotional charge that's in there. Doesn't let the emotional charge lead. Instead knows that it's there, doesn't try to cover it up, although can sometimes cover it up. And that's the other side of the King, is that he may see no importance, no reason to carry any kind of emotion ever, and may put the emotions to the side, to the background. But in doing so, if he does decide to do that, male or female, by the way, we can actually cut ourselves off from our heart, from our mind even. You know, it's interesting how something that you would assume is more of a feminine quality, more of a just a heart-based kind of scenario, can also cut us off from our vital, even our logical parts, because it's the emotions that feed the thoughts. It's the emotions that feed the communication. Without one or the other, we're lost. Without the logic, the structure to keep us moving forward and stabilize us in the intention which we set with the world, which is a very grand and lofty intention, but it can be anything that you want it to be, because everything is in that card itself as an archetype. It's the world. You have the world in your hands, and the king is very, very close to that. He keeps the structure, he keeps the rules intact, and these rules are still flowy. They're still coming from a creative, imaginative place, and that's what's represented by the scepter that he's carrying in his hand. He's not necessarily looking into the cup, but he's holding it. He's sure of it. He's not just discarded the cup of the emotions and the imagination. He's definitely aware that they are important in his rulership, in his stewardship, in his skillfulness, in his tact, in taking care of society and taking care of his family. And that's what the other scepter here, the stick here, the wand, whatever you want to call it, is representing his power. And the Holy Grail here is representing those emotions of joy they're right next to him. They're not being discarded. All right, and so he's allowing that to move him forwards. And when we don't allow the emotions to be expressed, when we put them aside because we are basically saying we don't want anyone else to trigger our emotions, we don't want ourselves to be triggered in any way, shape or form, it can turn into a bit of a blockage, and it can turn into even more emotions. Funnily enough, when you block off your emotions, they turn into more emotions. So it's counterproductive, So let's take a look. What else do we have to go along with these energies? What really wants to speak through today, please? All right. So we have some wands energy, and we have number 5, 6, 7. Learned some Roman numerals for you. So the 7 of Wands is coming to that fiery energy. So we've just been with the more of the feminine, watery energy, with the masculine at the top of it, with the king, right? And now we're coming back down to the masculine energy, the fiery energy. I see it as that. You may have a different view, by the way. And we're coming back down to making our way up toward the king and the queen. So with 7, we're talking about magic, we're talking about victory, we're talking about using any of this movement, any of these emotions linked with your passions, to be aware of any conflict that wants to come your way, and be able to let it go in a way that's best for you. Letting go might look like having to speak up and fight back in some way, and that's kind of what he's doing here. But he's above the conflict, if you notice. He's actually on top of the hill. These are the sticks that are trying to reach to him and poke him, send some kind of jab that way. They are lower, they're below, and he's not really sinking to their level. He's also not just standing there and letting them poke him, though. He's making sure to actively do something about it. But sometimes, and this is where the intuition of fire comes in, you have to know which one is best for you. You have to be able to know what a yes looks like in your body, feels like in your body, and what a no feels like in your body. So if some energy comes to you, whether it's an experience, a person, a place, whatever it is, a thought, and the thoughts are, we have so many in a day that we don't even notice, so it's a bit elusive. But if you can get this down, you will trust in your body to do. You will trust in your mind. You'll trust in the Holy Trinity that is your body, that is your mind, that is your energy, your emotions, to always guide you. So if an energy comes to you and is this a yes or is this a no? And you'll know if it's a yes by the way that you feel. It will be kind of exciting, maybe. You have to know yourself well enough, of course, and you have to spend time with your yes and your no's. What does no feel like in your body? Is it all constricted and And there may be a reason, by the way, because sometimes we think and we just bypass the yes or the no that our body gives us and let our mind guide us. But you can't, with this card, the mind can't do that, because it's going to get itself into all kinds of battles. If the mind was to take over this card, he would be attacking them. It would just be a wipeout, and now it's all over. It's game over. It's not very helpful at all. Whereas, listening to all of himself, his body, his intuition, his all of it, just you in general. You don't even have to decompartmentalize the unconscious, the conscious, superconscious. It's just all one, right? You can tap into your yes and your no's, and sometimes when the body constricts, we think the mind is saying, yeah, but this will be good for you, so you better stop being afraid and do this. But what can happen is you go ahead and you do that thing, you go to that party, you speak to that person or whatever it is, and you can feel in a way some kind of achievement because you overcame something, but at the same time you're absolutely shattered, you're knackered, you're tired, and it doesn't really feel like you gained anything from that experience. That's when it's a no, and it will continue to be a no. Although it's okay if there's a no that's coming up and you say a yes. It's all okay. There's no issue there at all. It's just the more we hone in our yeses and our nos, the more we kind of weave ourselves, float naturally through life, through the foundations, the structures that are in place already. And we don't worry too much about how we're going to do it. The alchemicalization of listening to all that is within you and around you actually guides that magic to happen itself. Yeah, the magic is in the mundane. The victory is in the collection of all the previous energies and experiences that we've had and have been able to program our contrast engine and our dream engine, the thing that we want. What is it you want? Coming back to that question, what is it that you want? You may want nothing, and that's perfectly okay, my friends. Some people get caught up in this thing of, well, I don't know what I want, and it's bugging me that I don't know. You don't have to know, but just ask that question anyways, and if it has no answer, great, float on by. If it has an answer, follow it. Follow your intuition with this one. Fire is pointing to that connection that you have to yourself and others. They do go into a bit of a battle sometimes with their emotions, with their thoughts. But if you can stay stable, balanced in your yes or your no's, listening to your body. But body language speaks a lot. If your body's all tense, then that thing that you're about to do might be something there could be something better around the road for you, around the bend for you. If that thing that you're about to do is causing a little bit of anxiety, but there's still there's an excitement there. It's not a complete yes, but it's not a complete no. You'll go ahead and you'll do that thing, and trust me, it's not to be taken too seriously. It's a game. This kind of yes or no understanding. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these sticks are coming at him. It can feel like chaos has ensued all around you. Everyone's against you. These kinds of things can happen. But as long as you're centered in that space of, yeah, but I know what I'm here doing. I know that I'm integral in my goals. I'm sticking to truth and authenticity of what it is to be life itself. Let it. I will stand my ground. And when I know, it doesn't always require a voice, doesn't always require a speech. Sometimes it requires moving out the room, moving away from the situation. So you have to be the guide with that. So we'll do one more card. We got fire and water again. We got a major, the world card. So something to round off this message. Okay, so we got 2 cards. Interesting. All right. 3. So the first card I see is the 3 of Swords. There's been some heartache. There's been some pain. But remembering that pain is still leading toward a truth of some kind, is still leading toward freedom of some kind. Sometimes we have to go through some of the most, say you're unhappy in your life and your thoughts are constantly reminding you of this. Well, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Because when you've realized that you're truly unhappy, if you're truly unhappy, you will take the action no matter what to fix it. If you don't take the action, it means you're not truly unhappy. Although, some of you guys, some of you peeps, I get it, you are some hard-working peeps, and you'll still continue to do it even if it's just... But you know what I mean though, like if it was truly unbearable, you would stop it. So when you get to that point of not being able to carry on with whatever it is, it may be a thought, because we're coming to air here. It may be a lifestyle, it may be a job, it may be a relationship. When you get to that space, if you can just recognize that, okay, it might be even more painful now because I have to take action toward this thing that sucks. But if you just recognize that on the other side of that, because this is a bit like the Tower card, but right after the Tower card comes the Star. But you do have to go through the Devil and the Tower first. And that's what this heartbreak is talking about. It's like seeing the shadow self and what it's tried to put itself in that doesn't fit, that doesn't work. Or it may be from the shadow self of another that's doing this to you. It may get worse before it gets better, alright? And I say that with a lightheartedness because it's never unbearable, uncopable. You will always be where you need to be. It's not something you can't deal with. It may shake up your whole world, wherever you're at. Whatever's coming, whatever's occurring, whatever's arising, it may shake up your world. But know that on the other side of it, what do we have? We have the Two of Cups. This is related to the Lover's card. The Magician, the High Priestess coming together with the Angel, the Lion of Wings above. This is partnership, this is companionship, this is love. There's a relationship here, either with self or with another, that is beautiful, that's in communion. So we can get to the side of heartbreak and we can come to communion. What better outcome could there be? Yes, you might have to decide something very difficult. But there's always an abundance there, because with the threes, it's pointing to that Holy Trinity every time. It's coming back to that mind, body, spirit, and what it wants. And what it wants, sometimes you have to put aside some of the things that you yourself would want and listen to what's best for all of you. You know, sometimes it's putting aside the ego mind, because the ego mind can put us into that place of heartbreak. Sometimes for a good reason, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just playing tricks with you. So companionship, joy is right around the corner. And so is nightmares. So sometimes with the Swords energy, it comes back to haunt us. You know, this here is a bit of a triad, because you've got the heartbreak on one side, you've got the communion and the companionship on the other side. So there's the contraction, there's the expansion, and then we go right back to contraction. We go back to, what are we now? We are 11. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So the one before the X is the 9. Okay. Interesting, because I thought the X was 10, and it is, but it's 1 minus 10, which makes 9. Sorry, I'm just figuring something out in my head. Roman numerals, I'm just learning as I go. So the 9 is, again, that completion almost of a cycle. You're about to come to a new beginning. And with the energies that because we got a really good start, right? We had world, which is the expansion, complete and total expansion. And then we had the king, which is that balance of the emotions and the mind. And then we had complete contraction. So to round off with this 9, I will say that there is maybe going to be some sleepless nights or some moments in your day which cause a lot of mental anguish, but those mental anguish moments are just what they are. They don't need to be changed. They need to be given space. Put yourself in an observer mode. Don't allow yourself to be so caught up in the thoughts, in the emotions, in the experience. Put some space between it, because you're training your mind, you're training your body, your spirit to be able to cope with whatever life throws at you. So the better you get at having to deal with obsessive thoughts during the day that take you to a place of darkness, of pain, of sorrow, the better you get at putting some space there. You don't have to feel any differently than you do. You don't have to think or change the thoughts. You just have to observe them like floating clouds. And some of those floating clouds, my friends, may take a week to move. That's the extreme. It may take years, months. It depends what you're grieving. It depends what's happened. It may take an hour. It may take a day. Who knows? The timing is up to you. But remember, if you're having obsessive thoughts come to you, it's space, and it's what's arising with this though. What's it trying to teach me? And if there's no teaching there, which there may not be, that's okay too. You just keep putting space. You keep asking what's arising, because there's space between you and your thoughts. And the reason that they're arising so erratically, so obsessively, may be so that you can recognize that you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not even your body, you're all of it and none of it at the same time. So, I would say that with the swords, finally, this energy that's coming through, it's that blockage. Some of these nightmares, some of this heartbreak is being caused by you blocking yourself off. But remember, even though you might be blocking yourself off, you have to decide, is it for a good reason? Because if you're blocking yourself off because it's been a no from someone or something, because you know that you need to retain your energy, whatever that thing was draining your energy. If the no is a no and you're still receiving nightmares from it, it's okay. Like sometimes life is just full of nightmares. The stories can turn easily into a nightmare. And that's the thing about the story, right? If through any film you watch it, it follows a similar pattern. There's good hero, then there's bad villain, and then there's some kind of outcome. And it's a elusive thing to leave you with as the outcome. But it's just the truth of this place. It's the truth. And it doesn't have to be a dark truth, by the way. This can be something that we rewrite now. Anytime we have pain or difficulty, it doesn't have to cause suffering. It doesn't have to. It just is pain. If you experience pain, anger, frustration, annoyance, it's just that. It's just what it is. It doesn't have to be given any kind of label, any kind of story if you don't want it to. If you do want to get to the bottom of it, sure, maybe figure it out. Just know you have a choice. There's always space in between whatever you choose. And sometimes that no is a thank you for taking care of yourself. Thank you. So that's what I'm offering right now, and I will be back with another video next time. Take care.